It's amazing to be here, and it's amazing that to see industrial economists, still flying high after 60 years, 54 years. It's amazing. Speaks of determination, speaks of the kind of rapport he has with the government, with the industry in the state, and speaks very much of his personal, I would say, commitment to seeing Tamil Nadu at the forefront of all industry in the state. Tamil Nadu is doing extremely well, okay? 14% this year coming, 14% real GDP growth is you've taken as given. You'll probably see more than that. The GSDP per capita is 2,02,000, which is 3.1 times what is there in UP today. It will grow, the difference between the two states will grow more, etc., etc. I will not go into that. What I would like to do is to pick up 2 or 3 thoughts which Gopal and Mr. Bansal says, and to take up from there, and to see the direction in which we can move to make really Tamil Nadu, the best of all the states. Thought number 1, which Mr. Bansal said very correctly, is somewhere in the last 10 years we have slipped a bit. And where is the slippage evident? It is evident because IT is moving away. The best jobs in IT no longer come to Chennai. They are going to Hyderabad, they are going to Bangalore, they are going to Pune, they are going increasingly to Indore. And there are really 2 reasons for this. One reason is that the skill levels that are available, okay, I will add a sub statement here which will validate what I am saying. It's very difficult to hire a CEO from outside the state to come here and work in a big company. I have several of my friends here who are unable to hire a top-class CEO. They don't want to come to Chennai. And there are really 2 reasons for this. One is really the skill levels here. I'm talking first of the IT industries. The skill levels here are not really matching the requirements of the industry. NASSCOM recent study says there are going to be 2.5 million top-level skill vacancies in IT before 2024, of which nearly 50 to 60,000 vacancies will arise here. And we are losing. Compared to last year, we have lost jobs. We have lost higher paid jobs here. So there is a very, very much deep demand to improve the skill levels of the younger generation in order to meet up with the challenges of the IT industry in order to grow. And this is not IT alone. This is also applies to the skill levels that is happening in manufacturing. If we get more and more manufacturing that is automated, to that extent we are losing employment opportunities. We need higher skilled employment for higher skilled technological manufacture. At the same time, we require mass employment opportunities, like the Taiwanese companies who are making shoes or whatever it is. We are able to employ 15,000, 20,000 ladies in the rural areas. It's a challenge. It's a challenge because part of the reason people don't want to come to Chennai, quite honestly I can share with you, is they don't like the culture here. Okay, it is not a happening place like Bangalore is a happening place and Hyderabad is a happening place. It's not a cosmopolitan city. It is still considered a very, very, South Madras type conservative city, and that there is no life there for the youngsters. This is a mental attitude, a social change that it is in the mind. Chennai is in the mind. Coimbatore is not like that. Coimbatore is considered a little more happening place than Chennai. Hosur is becoming a happening place. Much less, but because of the proximity to Bangalore. So let me take Mr. Gopal's thought forward and says, let us look beyond Chennai. Let us look at the growth, and there we have great advantage. The advantage is 55% we are urban, and it's going to be 70% in the next 5 years. We have cities which are connected by highways. Nearly about 14 cities are connected by national highways, 6-lane, 4-lane, etc. You have all the education institutions, medical institutions already there. So these are the places to grow. So in our council, one of the thoughts that we have been putting to the government, and I am very happy to see that is becoming coming out into various statements and various commitments, is that disperse. You select areas where you can, instead of focusing development in Chennai alone, instead of looking for investments in Chennai alone, disperse. Not just to the major cities, go a little bit further. One of the thoughts which came out, of our this thing was, let's say, this Tuticorin furniture park. I mean, how did it come about? How did that thought come about? How did it come up? Please think. Every month, about 28,000 tons of timber comes from Malaysia and Indonesia, goes all the way around the coast up to Gujarat, converted into furniture and comes back. Very ordinary furniture, mind you. But you drive down from Chennai to any small town today, any small town. You go beyond Arupukkote, you go to Attur, you go to Kallakurichi, you'll see a furniture shop. Why? Because everybody is buying sofas and beds and chairs and tables because of the urbanization. You see the houses. So therefore, furniture, why can't we bring that Myanmar wood and down to our east coast? That was our thought. And we said, okay, Tuticorin is the nearest port. Why don't you create there? There, again, I have sorry, I'm delving a bit. There I have a little, I would say, quandary. Who do we bring in there? Do we bring in the IKEA type people or the big people who will do mass furniture, etc.? Or should we do our own MSMEs, our own skilled people to develop traditional furniture, or to develop furniture, traditional stroke modern furniture, which means that you earmark that area, not for the big people alone, but for the smaller people only, which will give you much more employment. Okay, this is a kind of a thought process that is going on, and this is just. I mean, there are. I won't go into all the details. There are 5 such thoughts that we have embedded, and I am very happy to see that all these 4 or 5 thoughts are starting to germinate. One more thought. We made a suggestion that has taken off, and that has gained government some political mileage also, that after the COVID, we felt that there is a gap. There's a gap between, because the children have not been to school for 2 years, they have lost out on education. So the thought we put was that why don't you bridge that gap through some kind of home education, go to the villages. So the CM announced it as Illam Thedi Kalvi, which means that, okay, they would select volunteers in each locality, each mohalla, who would reteach children, especially of the classes 0 to 3, 0 to 4, etc., so that when they go to school, he's not totally unaware of where he should be at that particular level. Which is taken off. It's extremely popular. They've recruited 1.5 lakh volunteers. They just get paid 1,000 rupees a month. It's evening 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock, etc. But I am coming at another angle, which again we have suggested. For these 1.5 lakh volunteers to be selected, the applications were 5 lakhs. We required a minimum of class 12 for eligibility. all the people that we have are graduates or more. So which means that there are 5 lakh plus graduates sitting in the villages who have the time to spare for this voluntary activity, which means that much of skill and capability is not really contributing to enhancement of your state GDP. You are missing out. So the suggestion we have put is bring it back into resort. And you start looking at why. Why are these people not contributing? Because primarily post-COVID, there is a kind of a real mental change. And that change is people are very, very reluctant to leave their known surroundings. You offer a person, a lady, a gentleman, a job 40, 50 miles away, he's not interested. He wants a job in his known environment. This is true of Tamil Nadu today, and policy must understand this. Policy must now take the job to them rather than bring the job here. Okay, so one thought. What is the thought which we have put across? It's kind of several thoughts we put across, float, and eventually some of them come down and settle down. Not all thoughts come down, but at least our job is to put the thought up. So one thought up. Okay, you don't have skills. You don't have skills. You have people who are semi-skilled available in your tier 3 and tier 2 and tier 3 cities. And you have jobs, you have people demanding those kind of opportunities. So why don't you take skilling down to that level? Why don't you have district level skilling centers where IT skills can be taught, where you can provide over a period of 6 to 8 months' time cutting edge IT skills, and then you have a huge cohort who is ready for employment, provided they are willing to work, provided the employer is willing to work from home, for work from home. For a big company, it's cheaper, very much cheaper. He has the skill available at call. The kind of infrastructure provision is minimal because most of the infrastructure is available. So then in a couple of years' time, in 2 or 3 years' time, you can have 2 or 3 lakhs of young people, highly IT skilled, at tier 2, tier 3 cities, which will also be useful for all the big industries who are planning to expand. And the kind of investment required is very minimal. Okay, this is still in float. I'm telling you, this is an idea. This is an idea in float. My short point is, Tamil Nadu will grow, okay? Even if all of us goes to sleep, there is an inherent sui generis growth level that Tamil Nadu has reached, and there will be no stopping. 9-10% real GDP growth for the CAGR for the next 8 to 10 years, not questioned. But at the same time, other states are doing things differently, and other states will grow faster. Today, if I were to look at one state which will grow very fast in the next 3-4 years, it will be Mr. Bansal's home state. It will be UP. Because things are happening there or starting to happening there for many different reasons, maybe political reasons, ideological reasons, election reasons, whatever it is. But finally, translating into economic reasons, finally the job problem is so much more there for many, many different reasons. We must keep an eye on what he is doing. We must keep an eye on what Gujarat is doing. We can keep an eye on what Maharashtra is doing. We can keep an eye even on what Assam is doing, because they are doing unusual things. And let us see what we can borrow and how we can do better. We'll do good, but we must do the best. Thank you.